my name is Ruby and I'm a minimalist. This is my jar of trash full of 10 months worth of my trash, and this is my shopping bag. And this is the place where it all began. So what has this got to do with anything? Well, I have a problem with this, capitalism. But allow me to explain. It's really a genius system, providing people with the means to grow their power, wealth, and business empires. It's easy to pursue luxurious and selfish economic interests, pushing people further down the scale of the poor. I was right in the middle of this. At the age of 13, my life was hectic. I was attending a private girls' school in the inner suburbs where every girl wore the same uniform and ironically the same casual clothes on the weekend. The starter pack was standard 2XU leggings with a North Face puffer jacket and a white cotton-on t-shirt. I bowed down to these latest trends my friends wore on the streets, feeling unlucky that my parents didn't want to buy me high-end fashion, so I inevitably began to obsess over my wardrobe and my looks. My Target leggings, Billabong hoodie, and Dunlop volleys didn't live up to the trend. And surprisingly, these brands and our awkward twin bodies allocated us friend groups. Everywhere I looked, I felt like I needed to conform to what everyone else was doing, wearing, and buying. All advertisements told me that buying, consuming, and collecting more stuff would only make me happier and bring a life of success. I was truly disconnected from the world around me and myself because buying more things didn't actually make me happy, nor did it make me feel any more me. So let's look at the bigger problem. The harsh reality is that consumerism is drilled into everyone's lives. So let's look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs in a way that's never been done before. On our bottom 3 levels, we have our physiological, safety, and belonging needs. These can all be satisfied once we can put food on the table, have a roof over our heads, and a community of people to connect with. Once those needs are satisfied, we can move up to our self-esteem needs. However, we may seem to seek a sense of self-confidence, self-worth, through buying things that may represent our own financial individuality. This could be through wearing an expensive watch, driving an expensive car, even just accessorizing the simple Chanel bag. This inevitably will not meet our self-esteem needs because it's only masking the insecurities that are still hidden inside. And because this hasn't been fully satisfied, we have been prevented as a Western culture from reaching our self-actualization needs to pursue our life's passion and purpose. Western society has got us in a cycle of consuming that is preventing us from reaching our full human potential. So how can we move beyond this consumerist chokehold? When I was 16, I moved to Bali, Indonesia to attend the Green School. And once I moved there, I was transformed into this crazy, passionate environmentalist, constantly surrounded by nature, literally living inside of bamboo, surrounded by this international community of change makers, learning to make our world sustainable. So this idea of minimalism came up after I was fascinated by the idea that we could live with little stuff and still be happy. I also noticed that in our green community, we were talking about sustainability, but most of us weren't living like it. From our huge villas to expensive travels and wardrobes full of yoga gear, I started off with a mission to inspire others, myself included, to walk our talk. So I had to make some decisions to start up with. Moving between Melbourne and Bali, I had to really decide what I truly needed, and that could fit in a suitcase. So I came up with a question to guide me through this, and that was, what brings deep value into my life? Do I need this item, or do I want this item? So my suitcase became smaller, my wardrobe smaller as well, and my blog content way more meaningful. It was this great feeling, being in the present moment, feeling grateful for what I already have. And as soon as I started to realize the surroundings around me, I also noticed that everything else I was buying that didn't exactly end up in my wardrobe were things that I used and then threw away. So I was openly talking about how I cared about the environment, but I was still contributing to the consumption problem. So that convinced me to buy myself a glass jar and make a vow to never throw a piece of trash into the landfill again. And what do we see in here? See some plane tickets, some clothing tags, and some straws, and of course the napkin. This is really a reminder of the unavoidable. The things that I've mistaked for in that process or has ended up there because I can't find a solution. It sits on my desk at home, so I'm able to see it and I believe it. The out of sight, out of mind mindset doesn't exist there. And so, becoming a zero waste advocate, I essentially began to repurpose, recycle and upcycle more materials, like my shopping bag, for example, made from upcycled hessian and rice bags. So as I was doing this, my zero waste footprint became smaller, my wardrobe even smaller too, and I began to sense this new feeling of belonging as a minimalist. In fact, these three aspects, self, others and nature, is a philosophy known to Balinese as Trihita Karana, or in other places as human connection, the connection between everything. So how could we move beyond this system that we're living in, since all of nature is working towards something bigger than itself, a unifying collective movement? Perhaps the answer to our problems is to question the system that we're in. Would that regrow my connection as a minimalist? And would that regrow your connection? When I also moved back to Melbourne, I noticed that my minimalist mindset died out. Moving back into a house with 4 walls, concrete paths, and no backyard produce garden, and a family who didn't want to compromise for my minimalist mindset, I even had conversations with old acquaintances about things that didn't involve the environmental problem. I walked shop fronts of clothes, and I felt the first sense of temptation in 6 months. I was truly disconnected from myself and the world around me. So imagine a world where our governments help to reach our full potential, where we can connect ourselves with nature, surround ourselves by it, notice that we're a part of it, not separate to it, where we live in harmony with everything. To be able to consider this even a reality, we need to look at the fact if it's sustainable. And it is. Looking at the sustainability compass we use at Green School, a system that shows the 4 interconnected systems of life, we see that minimalism has a positive effect on all 3 aspects: nature, well-being and society. However, economy seems to be the missing link. And I mean, it makes sense because we can't implement a minimalist society into a linear economy that's still functioning. It's simply contradictory. Because trends come and go, products are sold and then disposed of. There is so much energy wasted and trash poisoning the environment. There is no cycle to anything. So a solution to that would be to look at the circulation of all energy, a system where we can see how our actions affect the world around us and in turn ourselves. A circular one. All of us have the power today to focus on our impacts and our actions because we know they have an effect on everything. Looking into the future, our choices could become a collectivist movement for the better of the world. So by questioning your own conditioning, you're essentially challenging the system that you're in. Our choices could become a collectivist movement. We are a part of nature, not separate to it. Our human nature exists to do so. So how can we make this sort of world? Well, we need to choose to decide, to think consciously, make conscious decisions. What do you truly need? What makes you happy? It means meditating for gratitude. What are you grateful for now? By asking this, you're essentially challenging your own conditioning, because consumerism is fueled by insecurity and can be remedied by mindfulness. It means connecting to the natural world. Think reduce. Admire, grow, the cycle of life, even in your backyard. These steps won't change our world today, but they will convert our consciousness to a higher level of connection, something we've been conditioned to throw away. So when the fossil fuels run out, the honeybees die, and we discover there's more to existence than we realise, is when our human connection becomes a revolution for change. Just think about it. Thank you.